gonna give it 3 seconds to clear out. It never happened before. Mixer, desktop audio. I'll test something out another time. This has never happened before, so. Wait, let me. I hear bleed echo, nightshade. Okay, I'm not reading the questions. That's what the what do you call those? Super chats are for. Boomers and technology. That's really funny. Yeah, that's also funny. Damn it, you guys are being funny. I can't focus. So, yeah, Mises Institute every year has a mystery speaker. Tom Woods got them to ask me. I was very excited for the opportunity. We put together so the talk will not be released because it was off the record, and it was me being very open and upfront about. Get to that in a second. For the introduction, what I did was Jeff Deist is the head of the Mises Institute, and this part I think we will release. I made him promise that he will introduce me by reading a letter that I wrote in an envelope, and it was sealed. So he has to go up there, read the envelope, no matter what I wrote in it. And then we also put together a video. Let's fuck up the audio. We also put together a video that he didn't see, or that no one saw, to introduce me as well. So let me read you the letter, because it's actually really, really funny, and it'll be even funnier. I think we are going to release Jeff reading it. And if you guys don't know Jeff Deist, who's the head of Rufus, you're thinking of Bohemian Grove. If you guys don't know Jeff, he's he's conservative, very kind of sedate, and proper, not in a bad way. So I'm like, okay, this guy's going to deliver this perfectly. So here was the letter, and he read this out loud to the audience, who had no idea that I would be the speaker. This is it verbatim what he read. Dear Jeb. Jeb is spelled with 2 B's and without the customary exclamation point. As you know, part of my coming here to be the mystery speaker was you agreeing to read an introduction as written without seeing it first. Boy, that was a mistake. I, Jeb Dice, hereby give our mystery speaker power of attorney. In all seriousness, it is a huge honor to be invited to speak at the organization that Murray Rothbard co-founded. No, I don't mean Cato, I mean the other one. Also, I think... No, I'm not going to read that. No, I'm not going to read that part either. Then he turns the page and he goes, this page is just a margarita recipe. And then he goes, now that you've finished serving all the margaritas, let's play the introductory video I've prepared that will serve as my welcome to the event. So the talk I gave was about what I wished I had learned when I was their age, because I vividly remember being a Cato intern and being young and fresh out of college. I was an intern during college, and it was basically how to. I don't like how to network's a bad title for it, but it's effectively how not to be a social pariah. So how to work a room, how to identify the people in the room that are have a power position, how to not have approach anxiety, how to just go up to people and talk to them, how to get rid of people once you're talking to them and you don't want to talk to them anymore, how to apologize correctly when it's appropriate to accept an apology, how to ask people for help, how to turn down help. So this was just like all and what it's like in an office environment for people who are smart and passionate about ideas. So it's really kind of weird and unfortunate that I'm at the point where I could be insanely insulting to an entire room of people and they're all laughing, and I'm just really just calling them out. So it was a lot of fun. There were a lot of questions. It was really cute when some of the kids tried to start using some of my lines against me as if that would work. It's just very sad. So it was a great talk. They all enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun. The kids were a lot more together than when I was at Cato. I'm very hopeful about the future. Very excited about that. Lou was there. Jeff was there. Tom Woods was there peeing his pants. Not literally idiots. Who else was in I keep forgetting his name from who teaches in the one with the beard with the glasses from who teaches in Tulane or whatever it is. God damn it! So the speech is not going to be online. Oh, and I also had this huge a sidebar about Buckley versus Rothbard. Walter Block, thank you. About Buckley versus Rothbard. I was in the car with Tom Woods, and I literally said to him, there's something pathological going on in my mind, because it's literally impossible for me to ever remember Walter Block's name. I can every single time I blank on it, and I want to say Steve Horowitz. I don't know what it is, and now it's become a thing, and I've got a Walter Block. Oh, that Jesus, my brain really has autism. It's so literal. So, okay, did you watch Rand Paul talk on the Senate floor, admonishing them for trying to stir up shit with Russia due to Trump derangement syndrome? If so, thoughts? This is how I ended my last segment of Nightshade, the show I have now on compoundmedia.com on Thursday. But I'll repeat them. I thought they were superb. I thought this was Rand Paul at his best. I thought it was, and I've made this point on Twitter repeatedly, and I mean it more than anything. Hold on a second. Let me get to that. Despite how the left acts sometimes, the corporate press and the culture loves war. It's exciting for them. They're not the ones in danger. They love it. They will push it at every opportunity that they have. It is the worst thing about our culture. And it's so wonderful for anyone, especially a Republican, to get up on the Senate floor and basically wag his finger and say shame. At Mises was the alt-right discussed? Okay, this is a good question. So I talked about the book, my forthcoming book, The New Right. We didn't talk about... I wasn't there. I was only there for my talk. The alt-right wasn't really discussed. People, of course, when I was giving my speech, were taking pictures, and someone said something stupid in the audience, and I was like, yeah, okay, buddy. And I gave the, okay symbol. And, of course, that's the photo someone puts up on Facebook, so it looks like I'm flashing white supremacist symbols to the audience. So, yeah. It was a hoot, though. I really enjoyed it. Everyone was very enthusiastic, very bright. It was great fun. But it was also interesting because afterwards, Tom and I and some of the other people, we went out to Chipotle with everybody, and then we went out to a bar for I did not do karaoke, and no one came and talked to us. And I'm like, I just taught you how to approach people and talk to them, and you're not applying it at all. So I would definitely go back. It's very exciting. Tuesday on the show, on You're Welcome, we have Jessica Tarlov, who some of you know from Me With Her and Red Eye, Me With Her on Kennedy. She's the one who just yelled, because I had just made the joke, I think a month ago on Kennedy, 2 appearances ago, where Bill Clinton had said how what measure of what you could get away with, doing with people sexually has changed over time. And he's actually correct. Like back in the day, you couldn't arrest a man for raping his wife. This was not a legal thing. So the consent laws have changed. This is indisputably true. But for him to say it, it kind of has a double meaning. And I, on Kennedy, made the point, I go, look, yeah, in the 90s, they could kill Vince Foster. And now you kill Seth Rich, and all of a sudden, people all over you on Twitter. Things have really changed for the Clintons. And Jessica's like, Michael. So she's a big Clinton defender. I can't wait. She's very, very bright. One of my by far favorite leftists on Fox, because she engages and listens to what you have to say and has a sense of humor. So I'm very... where do I upload these videos? I upload them for the Patreon people. So if you're not catching it live, it's for the Patreons only. So I'm very excited to have her on the show, and I'm gonna hit her with the hard questions because she can take it. And I don't fully understand. I don't know to what extent she supports Hillary, to what extent she thinks she's actually corrupt, and how much of this is Republican propaganda. Is that really Jeb? Jeb Dice. I made him say. So I'm excited for that show, and I've got you guys asked me for a denim show. The guys behind Naked and Famous Denim, they're opening a show in New York, so I'm going to have them on to talk denim. Any thoughts on Ayn Rand Institute or its members? I'm not a huge ARI fan. I'm not an objectivist. I'm a Randian. I always say that. Oh, one more thing. And I think Leonard Peikoff, is example of Randism at its worst. And here's an example. There's a documentary about Leonard Peikoff that they made in Canada somewhere, some maybe Canadian public television. I got the DVD. Ayn Rand's philosophy is about the self. The ego is the center of morality. In this documentary about his life, he spends more time talking about Rand than himself. That's not a selfish man in the Randian sense. That is not selfishness. So I think a lot of, and I don't see them being productive. Yaron Brook I admire a lot. He's a great speaker. I think he's a very bright guy, but I think he's constrained, and this could be me talking on my ass, by kind of the politics of the ARI types in many ways. I admire him greatly. I talk about him in the first chapter of my forthcoming book because that's how I got introduced basically to Rothbardianism, was through meeting someone at FEE who was a Rothbard type. I'd never met really ANCAPs before, coming from a more mainstream liberty movement background. So I think, yeah, but ARI, I remember the one really knock I have against ARI, there was that flood in the, I don't remember it was Thailand or something, or Indonesia back, maybe how many years ago, 7 years ago. And they took out like a full page ad attacking like government charity and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I can't think of any better example of government waste and like government spending than there's a natural disaster and you're just throwing food at people in rafts. I mean, is that really the time to be like budgetarily conservative? Give them as much food as they want. Give them as many towels as you want. I mean, my God, it's the cost benefit. This is not the time to be an accountant, and this is not the time to be chiding people about minarchism. I mean, again, this is really, if governments can coordinate this and help people who are a function of a monsoon, I mean, this is really a problem for you. Especially the cost is going to be absolutely minuscule. So yeah. And another thing, a lot of the Rand's predictions and endorsements were wacky. I think her claiming that if Goldwater had a more philosophical campaign, he would have won is nonsensical. I think her endorsement of Nixon is terrible, as is her denunciation of Reagan. So there's lots that she got wrong, and who cares? I mean, she's so far ahead as a net benefit. And in fact, I was talking about this with Tom Woods and Dave Smith when, Dave was under the misimpression that Rand attacked Mises and Rothbard every chance she got, which is totally false. And in fact, one time someone went up to her, one of her people in her collective that they called her followers, and they were going to go after Mises for having like subjective morality. And Ayn Rand said, "Leave him alone. He's done enough." So that's one of my greatest moments in like Randian history, and shows her personality. Thoughts on Robert Nozick? I think Robert Nozick might literally be the worst person to introduce people to libertarianism among the kind of middle to big names. I absolute worst. I just total contempt for him. Not contempt, because I have contempt. I don't think he's a bad person, but I find him the least persuasive person at all. So that's that. I just got in. That's why I'm doing a live stream. Tomorrow I'm going to see Sleep No More, which is this like interactive play in New York, which is closing soon, and all my friends are obsessed with it and they say it's great. So I'm really happy and excited to see that. Okay, let's go up to see if there's any questions, and I'll do this for another like 15 minutes. Who's your favorite Twin Peaks babe? Don't say Denise. It's clearly Audrey, Sherilyn Fenn. There's not even a question. Who else would it be? Do you regard the Constitution as a libertarian document? Yes, I don't think that's disputable. Do you consider yourself as part of the new right? I don't know, and I don't like that. I mean, by definition in the book, yes, but I have such strong. I'm not an activist or actively involved per se. So yeah. Have you talked with Ann Coulter? Oh yeah, there's a selfie of me and her on my Instagram. There's a chapter in her in the book. When's the book coming out? Ask my editor. I don't know. Yeah, there you go. You're get ahead of me. Yaron Brook is boring and Jewish. Okay. Super happy for your success and recent show accomplishments. Well, that's very kind. Yaron made Dave Rubin an ANCAP, basically. Neither of them are ANCAPs at all. 2 down, 13 to go. What album? Okay, we can play that game. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. What's this? Bel Canto. They're this like 90s dream pop band. There's only like 2 or 3 good songs on this. It's very kind of like what's that name? Mazzy Star kind of stuff, which isn't really my jam. Let's put it back. Okay. Since you don't think Nozick was a good intro to libertarian ideas, what do you think is, and what book of theirs would you recommend? Economics in One Lesson. I think that's that's it. Are there any opinions that political people tell you in private that you would never guess they held? I don't know that I would never guess, because I genuinely think people in private are far more nuanced, because they're in television you can't get into nuance. So I don't know that I'd ever be surprised. I haven't been surprised per se. I've actually been surprised in a positive sense, because it made me appreciate someone more, especially someone who I don't agree with. When I see that there's more to their ideas, I admire them for it. I am the North Korea guy. Do you have any vinyl records? I have a bunch, yes. What's your favorite movie that you've seen so far in 2018? Not even a question. The Death of Stalin. And in fact, if Dear Reader had come out after that, they would have thought I ripped it off, because it's the same exact style. Are you familiar with Frame Games material on YT? What do you mean by YT? I don't know what frame game. I know what frame game is in a pickup artist context, but I don't know what you mean in this. So please clarify, and I'll be glad to answer. How do you explain what a hipster is to a North Korean? I don't know if that's a rhetorical question, but when I was there, I remembered my friend Nichelle's definition, which is a hipster is anyone who likes anything old-fashioned, and my guide got it. Is Milo dead or just radio silent? He seems to be a candle. He was a can. I can't speak on that. I think he's still going around. You are not the North Korea guy. What are you, Moripovich? Message redact. Okay. YouTube. Frame Games material on YouTube. I'm not familiar. No. Love that chose economics in one lesson. I like healing our world to people who aren't overly political. I've never heard of healing our world. Should hipsters be put into concentration camps? I don't want to be in a concentration camp. I consider myself a hipster. Cause YT also means young. Like, I guess it's TYT's, the Young Turks, but that's why I was a little confused. Following Lauren Southern's Aussie outing. No, I just had her on my show last week. You can watch the video on this channel. How can I watch this later? You're going to have to subscribe to my Patreon. How did you and Gavin meet? Fox? No, we met at a Reason event. Reason Drinks. A Reason magazine had drinks. I was invited, and he knew who I was when I went there, and that made me giddy. And I talk about that in my book also, because I'm such an admirer of his. Do you like Victor Davis Hanson now that you were on Fox with him? I don't know. I haven't been on Fox with him. I don't know who that is. Is Dave Smith trying to be the Libertarian nominee for 2020? Oh, God. No, he's not. No. Have you read any Yukio Mishima? I don't think so. All my books that I've read are on goodreads.com. Please have Alex Epstein on. You're welcome. He's in California, I thought. What did you think of Dennis Rodman's role in what's happening with North Korea? I have no problem admitting that I was wrong. I think he's doing his best given his limited mind. Let's just put it nicely. I think his heart's in the right place, and I was totally wrong about him. And the thing with CNN during the summit, I thought was very admirable and very earnest. You don't know that much about North Korea. Have you visited South Korea? You don't know anything about Korean culture. Okay. Do you like Terry Pratchett? I have never read him. Trump's conversation with Putin, yay or nay? I don't know. I don't really have. I was on Fox with Victor David Hanson. Let me goggle him. What he looks like. Victor David. I wasn't in the room with him, so yeah, I didn't interact with him at all. I guess it must have been an Ingram angle. If the U.S. invaded North Korea, would a lot of North Korean soldiers surrender to the U.S. because they would get fed? I think they'd surrender. I don't know. I think they'd get. It would get really ugly very fast. I don't know that they. No, they wouldn't think that they're getting fed, but they also don't want to be killed. Um, why are Jews so destructive? Because air is free. It seems like everyone who speaks to the alt-right is smeared as endorsing them. Are you worried about this? No, not in the slightest. In fact, I have a lot of friends on the left, as you all know, and every one of them who I've talked to about this book is enthusiastic and also says to me, I'm glad you're talking to these people so I don't have to. And that was a relief and wonderful. And I do think I present them fairly in this book because there's no, just like North Korea, the whole point of Dear Reader is to present North Korea fairly from their perspective. I would say, yay, personally, Woods had a good episode with Smith about this recently. Have Stefan Molyneux on to discuss anarchy and the best way to put it to your friends to not sound crazy. Yeah, Molyneux's the one to not sound crazy. All these high schoolers look at me like I'm crazy. You know why? It's not because of Molyneux. Has Cody Wilson made the Second Amendment debate a moot point? Maybe I should have him on my show 4 days ago. I love all of your content. Look forward to watching each new episode. Well, that is very sweet of you. That is very sweet of you. The Cody Wilson episode was good. Oh, here's a Cody Wilson story that I didn't tell on the show. Okay? This is the first time I'm telling people. So Cody was supposed to be a speaker at Voice and Exit, which was Max Border's thing out of Austin. I spoke at it a few years ago. And it was supposed to be like a libertarian TED Talk thing. Cody flaked at the last minute and really fucked up the event for Max, which was already happening badly because the stage wasn't getting set up and it was a big thing. And that really bothered me. So I may have started a rumor that he has AIDS. I like that you judge people by their character, not their politics. It's, you know what it is? It's like, you know how when you're in high school, you think if someone likes the same music as you, that means you're going to get along, when it means nothing of the kind? So just because people see politics the same as you, it's not correlate at all. When are you going back on the Joe Rogan Experience? Probably if Kim Jong-un goes to the White House, and I'm sure when my book comes out. Well, not sure, but hopefully. It would be great if you could interview the Murdochs for your book. They have an AMA, and my book's done. There's no more interviewing. I don't care if Cody has AIDS. All I'll have is AIDS. Cody, I called him a hero on my show, and does Michael Malice know who Sam Hyde is? Motherfucker, I interviewed him for Observer. Goggle it. And I also have that quote from his in my book. Jesus Christ. Shame. Physical removal, yay or nay. I don't know what that's referring to. People can believe the same thing for wildly different reasons. That's a great, great point. Are you going to get a gun mill? No, I don't think so. So are the alt-right trolls or Spencer types? You're going to have to read my book. Do you like Sam Hyde? I think he's state mandatory homosexuality. What kind of publishing? St. Martin's. Will there be a book tour? I don't know. You should say Google so we can destroy their copyright. Okay. Are you a fan of Hans Hermann Hoppe? Who's that? Never heard of him. Promote your book on Thaddeus' show again. I'm sure I'll be back. Let's see. Oh, this one's getting on my nerves. Okay, I'm gonna have to. Most important I'm pumped to check out the Sam Hyde interview. Do you think Sam Hyde harbors genuine resentment toward Jews, or is he really exploring taboos? I don't like that whole me trying to be psychic thing. It's not useful. Hand Herman Hoppe, physical removal of leftists. I don't know what that means. What is it like working for Louis J. Gomez? All these, I have a lot of snake bites. Sam Hyde is hilarious. I have the PDF of his book. I'm too scared to respond to your tweets because you might block or mute me. I will only block you if you blow up one of my trolls. Do you not like Molyneux? I've been on Molyneux shows many times. We get along great. You joining the Mises Caucus? Absolutely not. Have you considered debating one of the hosts of The Daily Show? No. I mean, yes, and the answer is no. I'm joining the Army next year. Oh, God. What chances do you think the U.S. will be at war in North Korea in the next 5 years? As close to zero as possible. Like, pretty close to zero. In fact, Mattis, Mad Dog Mattis, Tillerson, Bannon, they all said explicitly, we're not going to war with North Korea. And that's explicitly. So behind the scenes, you know what I mean? It'd be one thing for them to be like, publicly to be like, yeah, we're going to go to war, and privately be like, all right, we know this is bullshit, this is bluster. So even publicly they're saying this is not happening. What's your favorite cut of steak? I like filet. I hate fatty food. So I like fillets or like the hanger steak. Or skirt steaks. Are there any major issues we should care about when it comes to PRK as far as us U.S. citizens, meaning troops or operatives that have been covered? No, we're fine. We only have to worry about the North Korean people are the ones we have to worry about. Have you seen Blade Runner 2049? I have not. What's your money on the 2020 Democratic nomination? Okay, Rothbard's progressive era. Were you convinced the political division of the eras ties back to liturgical versus pietist? I'm reading that book right now, and one of the points I've made many times in the past is that the WASPs are the problem, and he actually validates what had been my conclusion already. So it was great to see that. Who's your money on the 2020? And I'm halfway through the book. Who's your money on for the 2020 Democratic nomination? Well, the party switched because from 1968 until 2012, the Republicans had nominated the previous loser consistently. In 2016, it was the first time the Democrats nominated the previous loser. So going by that pattern that they switched, the nominee would, by that logic, be Sanders or Biden. And I think both have excellent shots, and I think Biden would be a very strong candidate. Which books would you recommend on anarchy? Michael Huemer's book is great. Never heard of Hans Hermann Hoppe, fake libertarian. He's supposed to be a Korean. Okay. I owe money, Malice. Your brain is not boring. Well, you don't owe it. Thank you. Sweet or unsweet tea? Sweet. Do you listen to Tuxedo Moon? No. What do you think of the blowback theory when it comes to foreign policy in the Middle East? I think it's indisputable. On a scale of Cody Wilson to William Buckley, how bad is John Brennan? Do you think any member of Creepy Joe Biden, not one Democrat, will be changed by those videos? Do you think any member of the intellectual dark web could defeat Jim Goad in a debate? I don't think it would be debate. I think it would be discussion. I think Jim would regard it the same way. I think Jim's very bright. If I tell someone on Twitter that they will be blocked by spoiling trolls, will I get blocked? Absolutely not. No, and you don't have to reply within the thread. You could just message them out of thread so they'll see it, but the thread won't be in there. Why does everything lead back to the Jews? Can you explain this? Well, yeah, I mean that's God created Adam and Eve were the first Jews, so of course it leads back to the Jews. This is just logic. You're horrible at acting like a libertarian. That's true. I'm not a libertarian. I'm an anarchist. I didn't see your question. I'm sorry. That is a great scale. Absolutely. I'm Canadian Ukrainian with a Jewy last name. Are we friends, and can I get a signed book? michaelmalice.bigcartel.com. Yes. Have you heard of Larry Sharpe yet? Could he beat Cuomo? Honey. How should Trump deal with Kim Jong-un? He's doing a good job so far. Do you do stand-up? You do great crowd work. I did it before I became a writer. Do you ever go fishing? I hate all that outdoorsy shit. Do you like Putin? No. Not at all. Okay, I got time for 5 more minutes, and then I'm going to bounce. I hope you guys are enjoying Nightshade, because I'm having a lot of fun with it, and I think we're getting into a really good groove. And I'm also having fun with your welcome. Oh! T-shirts are dropping on Tuesday, and they're gonna be sick. Did you see Aquarius Backlash? No, I did not. Oh, that's interesting. I would have to keep up on that. So, more flags. Yeah. Why don't you like Putin? Because he kills people and he's an autocrat. How often do guys assume you're gay? No offense. None taken. Whoa. Okay. I wish Nightshade was longer. It's not going to happen because I don't have a staff. So I have to write it, and it has to be timely, and I have to deliver it. You know what I mean? So it's not possible for me to make it longer. And an hour is a very long time, and this way I keep it kind of pithy, I guess is the best word for it. Would you be an anarchist if you lived in Russia? I don't know. I would hope so, but I'd probably be more of an, I don't know if I'd be an anarchist, but I certainly would not be A fan of the state? I don't think so. Can you talk about the flower nightshade on Nightshade? I'm a succulents guy. Which country has a better future, China or India? China has more upside, right? Upside potential. But India's on a better track. I don't. That's a great question. Cannot predict it. Is there an afterlife, Malice? I'm a lich, so I don't have to worry about that stuff. Will Trump make? Do you support right-wing death squads to kill socialists like Bernie Sanders? No. Where do we get these so-called T-shirts? You'll have to watch. You're welcome on Tuesday, and I'll put it up. It'll be fine. How tall are you? I'm 4'11". Do you think Trump could have threatened Kim with military action in the meeting? And what do you think about that theory? I'm sure behind the scenes they're well aware of our threats. If you need to read Dear Reader, I discussed this in there. Loving Nightshade, but you seem so rushed and pithy. I'm not rushed. I'm just trying to get it exact, as close as I can, to 30, because I don't want to have half an hour just be on 2 stories. So it's hard to find that balance of the two, and I think it's getting better every day figuring it out. It's also different if I'm discussing a video, which I'm seeing for the first time, as opposed to having a story that I'm commenting on. Do you look at Thomas Victor on Twitter? I unfollowed him after all his predictions about Roy Moore were false. I second longer you're welcome. Could have used another hour of Cody Wilson. Yeah. What is the craziest conspiracy theory that you think is true? The Constitution? Are you pro-life or pro-choice? I am pro-choice until there's a brainwave. 2 more minutes of this. Okay. Do you think Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez will be a relevant public figure longer than Sarah Palin was? I depends what you mean how long Sarah Palin was relevant. I think they're comparable. Favorite shoegaze band is going to be Allison's Halo. Is a smoking section in a restaurant like a peeing section in a swimming pool? I like that. That's funny. That's funny. What are your thoughts on Glenn Beck? I like him a lot, and he's someone who has changed since the Iraq War, and I think that weighs a lot on him, and so he has got a lot of integrity. You don't like Beach House? No. Get the fuck out of here. Do you think the Democrats will successfully stop any opposition on the left? I don't know what you mean by that. Have you read Walter Block's evictionism theory? Yeah, and I think it's nonsensical. And I like Walter a lot. Get woke, go broke. Care to comment? No. Favorite rapper? Debbie Harry. What do you think of the EU? They're the enemy. Did you listen to Self-Defense Family? Never heard of them. Read any Walter Williams? No, I have not. Do you think an Intel community member will run Dem in 2020? No. Unless someone's like a senator has that as their background that I'm not really aware of. Favorite country music artist? I'm not a country fan. Gun to head, I'd have to say Dolly Parton. Because she's someone that I can't think of anyone who's more admired in America universally. Was Hitler's dog really named Blondie? Yes, and it's spelled differently, but when the band Blondie sometimes did secret shows, they would perform as Adolf's dog. Did you listen to World Inferno Friendship Society? No. Favorite comic besides that silly guy you like? Oh, comedian. Other than Neil Hamburger, I think that comic book. And you're talking about Harvey Pekar. Favorite comedian other than Neil Hamburger? I'm blanking. I had this queued up. I get this question all the time. I'm sorry. I apologize. Gender identity, a better alternative to alt-right and stopping Islam. Generation identity. I don't know. What's your opinion on Norm Macdonald? Oh my God. Off the charts. 10 out of 10. Like he's probably number 2. I don't know if I consider him a stand-up really anymore. I think Ricky Gervais's stand-up is also amazing. Do you think stand-up is garbage nowadays? No, that's like people say books are garbage or music is garbage. That means you're not putting in the work. Joe Mackey, adore him. Okay, guys, I will see you. Andy Kaufman is my idol. He's discussed in the book as well. I will talk to you guys soon. Thanks for being at home on Friday night like I am. and I hope you enjoyed this. So yes, and I was in touch with Harvey a lot after the comic book. Take care, guys.